broadcast network, AFTERBUZZ TV. Over 20 million weekly downloads in over 150 countries, and your number one source for after-show entertainment. AFTERBUZZ TV, the destination for TV superfans, producing after shows for over 300 of your favorite TV shows, interviewing celebrities and showrunners, and bringing you behind-the-scenes exclusives. All thanks to E! Entertainment's Maria Menounos, producer Kevin Undergaro, and internet leader Akamai. Now, let the buzz begin!
All right, Project Runway fans, I am bringing you another episode of AFTERBUZZ TV's Project Runway After Show. I'm Amanda Fields Bennett, and with me tonight are some very special guests in the fashion and theater world. Malan Breton, designer, also was on season 3 of Project Runway as a contestant, and Louis Villabon is the runway director for Milan and a choreographer and on Broadway. Thank you for being here.
Sure.
Thank you so much, Amanda.
And
so nice to see you again.
Thank you. And for everyone out there watching and listening, where can they find you on Twitter and Instagram?
Malan Breton, MalanBreton.
And Louis?
And for me, Instagram, Louis Villabon, LuisVillabon. For Twitter, reverse it.
Nice. And you can find me, as always, at The Runway Queen on both. So let's get to this wild and wonderful avant-garde episode. This is season 14, episode 11, The Runway's in 3D. And I was kind of hoping that they would, somehow make the TV show in 3D without the glasses, but I don't know how that would work.
Yeah.
That would be so genius. I wish they had done something
I just saw my first 3D movie on a 3D TV. It was awesome.
Wow.
Ooh, on a 3D TV.
Yeah.
Which movie was it?
It was Avatar. Perfect one for it.
Yes.
Wow.
That was such an incredible film.
Yeah.
And I think the designers were thinking, is this going to be like a fashion film? Are we going to do something like that? Candice was definitely thinking in that direction. And then Tim Gunn introduces the challenge out on the East River. And he says, well, we're not only inspired by New York City landmarks, but these specific bridges. The Brooklyn Bridge, the Queensboro Bridge, and the Manhattan Bridge. What were you guys thinking when he introduced it?
When he first introduced the concept of the 3D challenge and the bridges, I thought it would be something kind of eccentric and special, and yeah.
Like you.
Oh, thank you.
Nice one. Nice one.
Thank you. That's very kind.
Okay.
Oh, maybe.
What were you thinking?
I was excited by the challenge because I do love the architectural components of a bridge, and I think that when a designer designs in an architectural perspective, it's always very, very exciting for me.
And I also want to mention that this is a multi-dimensional challenge, 3D printing with a cube 3D printer. And it's starting to become popular in fashion. I've noticed a lot more 3D garments. And I still want to find out more about how it's done. I was hoping that they would take the time to kind of explain and break down the process. But maybe they're thinking, no, that's too much science for fashion, but I don't think so.
I can tell you a little bit about it because we did some research on it this last season,
Thank
because
you,
we're
Milan.
actually using it for the next season coming up. And what it is it's a printing machine that actually uses a powder base that comes in various colors. And what you can do with it is you can actually create these three-dimensional I don't exactly know what they call them. They're like three-dimensional models, computer-generated models, and then it will actually print these models perfectly to what you've created. And they've actually built an apartment building in China from a 3D printer, and they're building cars now. They're building everything. It's amazing. It's really I think it's going to be the future of everything, really.
They're building these buildings and cars out of this powder material?
Well, they're doing it with the printing machine, and they're doing it with this powdered material because I guess it's the thing is it's very dense in weight as well, so you can literally just the whole apartment building, hopefully they've structured it down so it doesn't fly away, especially with all the hurricanes and things in China, but But yeah, it's really amazing technology, because I felt something that's going to be a part of the next collection that would weigh normally so much on a person's body, and it literally weighs nothing.
Oh my goodness. So like all of these very embellished gowns that people see in Fashion Week on the red carpet are usually very heavy, especially the more couture house gowns like Armani Privé, the things that, you know, Jessica Chastain might wear down the red carpet. And so it's interesting to think that they could be light as air.
Yeah, I hope that they're able to take it to the next level, where they bring in some sheen, some texture and color to the printing powders, actually, so you can actually print something shiny rather than having something so matte, because the matte texture is not really appealing for me as a designer. It's not very appealing. So
oh yes, you do like the shine to the fabric.
I do love shine.
And we will get to that later. We'll show you some of the beautiful photos of your work. And I really liked that they're bringing this element in, because I know it's been around in fashion, and I didn't know that they were making buildings out of it, but it's cool that that the designers can be a part of it. So Annie Shaw is the creative director of 3D Systems, and she comes in and explains it to the designers, and I thought, oh, this is a whole different type of modeling. Model making.
That's fun.
And so some designers right away know what they want to do, and a lot of them are a little lost when they start sketching. What stood out to you, Louis, in this sketching?
What's what?
Did anything stand out to you when they were sketching their designs?
Yeah, absolutely. I think the way Merlene had her kind of vision board and the way she would make cutouts of the bridges, that was really interesting to me. And quite frankly, I expected so much from her because of that angle of creativity.
Yes, and I think we've all seen her on the show do these really structured jackets with these big oversized shoulders, and I was just thinking, like, why did you choose this week to not go there? Because she's been going there.
That dress she made, wow, it looked like a lobster bib with some baby like vomited on the front.
Oh no.
And I feel like this was the challenge to do it, right? Because it's the avant-garde challenge. I think she had all of the license to be able to do whatever she wanted to do.
Yeah.
And maybe it was just too much license. Maybe she needed something to rein her in a little bit.
Yeah.
But the winner gets a Cube 3D printer and accessories. And every designer had a $200 budget at Mood and 2 days to create it, which I was happy about, because a lot of these challenges have been one day, and it's suffered.
Too limiting. It's so restrictive.
Yeah.
It's so hard. And having been in the workroom and how that goes, it's wow. Because not only are you constructing your garment, they're pulling you out of the workroom to do your one-on-one interviews. And so you can be in the middle of creating something so genius, and they'll say, you have to stop everything you're doing, you have to come with us, and then you go away for like half hour to an hour to film your one-on-ones. And so it's so frustrating, because you never feel like you can catch up, you know?
Sounds like it interrupts your creative flow.
Yeah, it totally does. And I know it's necessary for the show, because they need those bits and things for the editing, but I think it just makes it very hard for the designer, especially with only 1 day to make a dress, you know? I mean, that's crazy.
You're stopping and starting all over again. Yes, you're right, Louis. It does seem like it messes with your creative flow. It would seem that it would take you away from what you're doing too much. Like they always say on Project Runway that you need to step away from your garment, but not out of the room.
Exactly. Exactly.
So, I mean, when I was just looking at the sketches, I really liked Candice's, because she had this gown idea. And I thought it was so much more exaggerated in the sketch, and that's what I liked about it.
Right.
And it seemed to be wanting to be more than it was, and we'll get to that with the runway photos. But yeah, did anything come across to you like in a certain way in the workroom with Tim Gunn? What was going on?
You know, I personally, from that experience, appreciate Tim Gunn's inputs, but sometimes you have to do what it is you are as a designer, and use the input constructively, but also stick with your vision, because you're designing the garment, not Tim Gunn, you know?
Yeah, I think a lot of the time he is right, but sometimes I disagree, and He's very wise, but it
Very
is
wise
just
man,
one
yeah.
person's opinion.
That's right.
And there's so many different types of artists, and art is subjective.
That's right.
So, what did you think, Louis?
Well, you just completely read my mind because
we keep doing that today.
I know. But I do think it's just one person's opinion, and it's the subjectivity that is key here. And to piggyback with what Malan said, you are the designer. You have the original vision. You're never going to please everyone all the time, so you may as well go for it and continue your vision to completion.
And speaking of going for it, I wanted Merlene to do what she was doing, and Tim Gunn kind of stopped her.
Yeah.
And I think he didn't want to stop everything she was doing, but I think he wanted her to have more of a plan, more of a concrete plan. And I think for her, she works better without that concrete plan.
Yeah. I mean, I have to say, when she was explaining her project, her piece to Tim Gunn, I thought a little bit of what Tim Gunn thought. I felt like I was reading his mind, because I thought, man, you are a mess. Like, she didn't know how to explain it even. And sometimes as an artist, that's okay. She's in the middle of her creative process. You don't have to, it's not the runway time where you're selling your piece. This is the time for you to be like, well, it's this, it's that, go. I would say go for it.
Yeah, the most brilliant fashion elements that have come out of design over the last 100 years are literally things that have come by accident, or just by the process of just putting it all together under stress. And I think oftentimes too, when Tim goes in the workroom and gives people advice, it can at times put the fear of God in you. And I think because you instantly think, oh my God, Tim hates it, so I have to change it straight away. and you know, I mean, I value his opinion tremendously, even to this day, with things that he said to me in the workroom. But like I said again, you always have to really be who you are as a designer, you know?
And I think it's that moment of like, okay, we're making our designs, but also here comes the TV show element. So it's like, now it's time to make a TV show and make it. So yeah, there's so many elements going on in the workroom. So it's interesting to see how their idea can change over and over again. So speaking of their ideas, let's look at them, shall we? We will go to the runway rundown, and we are going to give you our opinion on all of the looks tonight. So speaking of the looks, we have a hot guest judge this week. Looking good. It's Mel B.
Mel B. Hello.
Scary Spice.
She's so lovely.
Tell me what you want, what you really, really want.
I'll tell you what I want, what I really, really want.
I want to really, really, really want to zig a zig.
Yeah, girl, get it done.
I really, really want to rock the runway. Okay, let's look at these pieces. The first look up is Merlene, the much talked about designer tonight. She sent out a dress that was lackluster. It wanted to be so much more. I just thought the model wasn't even very happy about it. She's kind of slouchy. It was an avant-garde wannabe.
I also want to say that from a distance, the 3D printing looked pretty exciting. Zach Posen touched upon it. He said your idea and concept of the negative and positive space was what made the application of the 3D printing good. However, when they did a close-up of the 3D printing, I felt it looked terrible.
It's awful.
It looked a mess. I didn't like the way that the texture of the 3D printing meshed with that satiny, shimmery, shiny fabric.
It's polyduchous satin, my most unfavorite fabric in the whole world.
Ooh, okay. So speaking of the fabric, we should let you know, if you're just tuning in on iTunes, thank you for listening, by the way. And keep comments coming, and also on YouTube, and we just love to hear from you, also on Twitter, so keep it going. And we're going to tell you what these look like in case you're not looking at the photos with us. So this is a darker burgundy shade, and it is
it's
fabric?
A polyduchous satin that has iridescence going through it, which is basically the same thing that they use in, you know, those really cheap curtains that you buy at Target? For like
Okay. Are they like a...
Sorry.
Oh, okay. Not a shower curtain,
like
but just...
like the ones that just, they shine no matter what direction you put them in, because they're just, lovely.
Not they're an aspirational curtain.
And
this is an aspirational avant-garde that it just did not...
Just didn't go right.
And it's a sleeveless top half of the dress, and it is fitted to her body.
Well, kind of fitted.
Sort of.
Yeah.
We want it to be fitted better.
Yeah,
that was the idea.
One bust dart goes up an inch higher than the other, so like she must have an issue.
I think I'm gonna quote Tom and Lorenzo from TomandLorenzo.com. They always say she has a tit discrepancy.
Exactly.
That's excellent.
Exactly.
And then Heidi commented that the bottom half of the dress came out into this shape that was very much like Keeney's dress from the Rainway Challenge last season. So it wasn't even very original. It fell
was
short.
So chic. Candice looked so nice and so well made. This just looked like, first of all, they weren't pressed. Like when you do that sort of work, you have to hard press them, and maybe it's just because the fabric is so impossible to work with without melting that she might have had an issue with pressing. Because you can see on the hem there at the bottom that it looks like she tried to press the hem, and one part of the hem looks like it's melting.
Is this fabric inexpensive?
You know, to be honest with you, they sell it at Mood, I believe, for $45 a yard. It's not cheap. It's very thick fabric, and it's quite costly. But the thing is, it's very difficult to work with.
So I gave this a 7 because I think when it walked, it moved well, but I wanted it to be more. It could have been higher. Maybe I was being generous because it was the first dress out. What number did you give it?
I gave it a 4.
Okay. Now that I've seen the whole judging, I think I might bring my number down.
Yeah,
what did you think?
I gave it a 4 as well.
Yeah.
Oh.
I think it's...
Absolutely.
Okay.
I really don't appreciate the way the bodice seems to be the same width from shoulder to waist. The knee length on this piece does not work for me whatsoever.
Yeah, and the 3D appliques, they're only on her right shoulder and come like halfway across her body, and they're too small.
And it's like a gray. It comes off as a gray color that I don't think mixes really well with this dark burgundy.
Ooh,
Like I said,
point.
it looks like a little baby was on her shoulder and threw up.
Oh!
I'm sorry,
dear.
that's not
well,
very nice.
on that note, let's move on
in
to
three-dimensional printing.
Tell us how you really feel, Malan.
my
How do you
God.
you're sugarcoating everything, Malan.
I'm sorry.
Oh, no, don't be sorry. This is good stuff right here. This is Edmund, and he has made a beautiful dress, and he also has a very sexy model to wear it. She has a great body. I like how in the workroom, Tim Gunn pointed out that he created this layering of the fabric of the nude and the black and the crisscross mesh. It was kind of a layering of fabrics to create that. I liked it. I thought the fit was perfection. I thought it was playing it a little bit safe for this challenge when they wanted them to go very avant-garde. However, I think the accessorizing made it.
Right.
It elevated it, and I honestly responded to it so well. Sometimes it doesn't have to be the perfect one for the challenge. I just gave it a 9 because I think the model looks great. I think it may not be the most like a Manhattan Bridge or a Brooklyn Bridge, but I loved it in spite of itself.
I think it's actually very chic. It's a beautifully tailored, beautifully cut dress, and the detailing on the ruffles and things is quite lovely. I think it's probably one of the most relevant pieces that were on the catwalk, probably that I've seen in some time. It's hard to, when you do a show like this, to have the time to do something that is actually relevant in fashion, and I feel like this is quite relevant. I mean, I think he could have gone with maybe a little bit more volume just to make it a bit more avant-garde in the bottom of the skirt, but as it is, it's so sexy and just so wearable, and I love the net over the face. I think that's genius, and that's something that you saw on the catwalks all last season, with Giambattista Valli and Versace, and everyone used those nets, and
In
Chanel
the couture
as well.
shows?
In the couture shows, yeah. So I think it's very very, very fashion relevant. I gave it a 10.
Ooh, yes.
Wow,
And
excellent.
I must add, again, I keep forgetting to add the description. It is a crisscross like an X across the upper half of her body with a little bit of structure next to the bosom. And then the sides of her midriff, rib cage are exposed. And then the bottom half of the dress is fitted to her body, and it has like a skirt that comes down to kind of a mini length, and then a gown length of sheer black fabric, which you would say is a chiffon.
It's a chiffon, yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
And then there's an exaggerated bit on her left side of her body of extra fabric, like I don't know what you would call it.
It's almost like a peplum, but it's like a half peplum, like on one side of the body. You know,
Or even like the old-fashioned dresses that had like I can't think of the word, and I
the
wish I could.
crinoline that they used to put underneath.
Yes,
yeah.
something like that. What did you think, Louis?
Well, I call this Black Harlequin mesh realness because
hashtag realness.
hashtag realness. I too really appreciate the veil that he added, and I think that he did it to add more avant-garde element to the piece in general, and I think that was really right. Whether it was enough to make it a complete avant-garde dress, I don't know. What I do know is that he echoed that harlequin mesh pattern in the crisscross of the upper body, and we found out when he was describing his work to Tim Gunn that he constructed that layer after layer, which I think is very impressive to do in such a short amount of time. I also appreciate the sheer fabric. He used several different kinds of sheer fabric. One has a stripe running through it horizontally that he then curved, and that was very reminiscent to me of the ascot gavotte from the film My Fair Lady that Audrey Hepburn wore.
Oh,
very much so.
yes.
Like a modern, sexy version of that.
That's
yeah,
right.
yeah.
And the construction of it reminded me of a modern, sexy version of the ascot gavotte. And I gave it a 9. I was in love with this.
I just love that you use the words ascot gavotte. That's the phrase of the evening. I want to say that all evening. Okay, so next we go from something so chic and so avant-garde to very confusing. I don't know about this, guys. I saw it and it just looks like a cape o' sugar cubes, and she's ready to feed the horses. And she's ready to make the medicine go down in a delightful way, but it's not so delightful. This is kind of a crazy, like, we don't know where we're going with this. 2 outfits in one. It is a fitted bright blue
cigarette pant.
Yeah, cigarette pant with crazy polka dots, sheerness on the sides. It's fitted pants and it's kind of high-waisted, and she has a high midriff top. And Ashley has been doing midriff or crop tops over and over and over on this season, so it's not anything we haven't seen before. And then this cape, she's like, maybe if I make it look dramatic, I'll get away with it. But it is... I think she's a fish out of water on this one.
Yeah, I think she pulled the sheer over the judge's eyes with this.
You
see what I did there?
Instead of the wool over their eyes.
See what I did there?
Yes.
I call this a polka dot mesh mess. I think that the cape competes with the outfit that's underneath. It's almost like Darth Vader. It's as if Darth Vader in the cape made love to a stormtrooper in a blueberry patch.
Oh my God! It's the blueberry girl from Willy Wonka.
That's right, Violet. You're turning Violet, Violet.
Oh!
I want what I want.
Oh my God! The sound effect.
I gave this a 2. I thought it was.
I gave it a 6.
Ooh,
I gave
girl,
it a 3.
You're generous, lady.
I like the movement of the cape, but
Was it enough though?
no.
In all honesty, if you look at the back of the cape when she's going down the catwalk, you can see the pin still in the back of the cape. It was not constructed.
Okay, it's a 5. It's a 5.
You know what?
And then the thing that really made this outfit work was the fact that you have Aub, who has walked for me a number of times at New York Fashion Week, who is a very good model, and she could sell a paper bag like Amanda can. You know, I mean, it's. But to be honest with you, the cape, it literally looks like someone took their curtain off their window and just draped it around. I know, it's like I'm in this curtain mode tonight. Curtains and drapes, you know.
Oh my God!
Like,
This is not what we want to be talking about
To
the
quote
runway.
Carol Burnett, I saw it in the window and I just couldn't resist.
Oh.
It's like Scarlett O'Hara just pulled it off the curtain.
Is that
Except
the
at least
sketch?
Scarlett
Yes,
O'Hara.
it's a sketch
When
that's the
she wears
longest
the-
laugh
She's got
in
the
The
TV
curtain
history.
rod with the curtains.
That's right.
Amazing.
Which actually echoes in another dress later this season.
Oh yes. Oh my God.
Okay, if you don't mind, let's move on to Candice.
No.
Candice, this wanted to be more than it was.
Yeah.
It fell flat. And speaking of falling flat, what is happening with her boobs?
I know, right? It looks like about if she lifted up her shoulders, it would be like the topless show at the strip club up the street, you know?
And Mel B, she was like all about it. It was her favorite look, and she's like, I want to wear it to an event. And I'm like, Do you mean Heidi Klum's Halloween party?
Oh, yes.
Oh, which I'm going to. I'm so excited.
Maybe you tell us
I'll watch and see if she
it.
wears it. Maybe she'll wear it. Maybe she'll be Vampiro or something. And wear the dress.
I don't know about this dress. I think it did not say avant-garde. It was just a kind of a nice gown in red with some black accents. The 3D printing was cool. It just wasn't cool enough for me. I gave it a 6.
You know what I liked on the back of the dress was the seaming going up the back side, up the bum.
That
well, not
was nice.
not up the bum, but like going through the bum.
What? Even worse. Just
sorry.
kidding. No. The angle of the seams were very flattering, to her backside.
But the thing is, then you go down to the godet, and she's got these like black with some kind of wiring going through them, so it looks like a really, really bad, almost
like a bad horsehair.
Yeah, it's like a bad horsehair, or even like a piñata or something. You know.
So people listening may not know what I just said. They may not know what a horsehair hem is. Can you fill us in?
Okay, so a horsehair hem is something that we do with gowns where we use very lightweight fabrics in order to give it some shape and some body, and it's actually interwoven, basically interwoven polyester that just. It's beautiful. It's really, I mean, it actually makes things just look.
It makes
it
dresses
gives them volume and things. But
stay in a certain shape.
But this is like that crazy, you know, like when you go to those cheap dress shops and they have the spirally hems. That's what it looks like. It looks like a $12 dress hem. I'm sorry.
Oh, like those places in the garment district.
Exactly.
Okay.
This for me,
you know, with the polka dot chiffon. Oh, back to the polka dot chiffon.
Yeah, here we go.
Sorry.
Yeah. For me, this was a Merlot satin sausage casing. It fits
Oh.
just way too tight,
Poor
which
darling.
made the little, what would you call that, almost a sweetheart neckline, just not be a sweetheart neckline and flatten her out, pushing it down. It was, and I agree with you. I think the sketch was the best part of this concept. And from the sketch into the workroom was still more appealing. It just kept going down, down, down. On the runway, it just looks like it was constructed poorly.
Oh, I know. It's like sweetheart to sweetheart.
Exactly right.
Ooh.
And put some boning in that bodice. My God, the whole bodice is collapsing over.
So it was kind of, it's a very fitted red dress, kind of like Va Va Voom, like Jessica Rabbit with some black accent pieces. I forgot to say that. It's strapless. So the final look, my favorite look, Kelly.
Oh, there's one of my suits.
Yeah, we skipped it. It is a brown gown from downtown. And if we don't have the picture, that's okay. There it is. We have it. It is a perfect avant-garde look. It is definitely dramatic. And who cares if it's too literal? I love it. I love the straps, the way she placed them on the front of the model's body and the sides of her body. This is hard to describe in words because it's kind of like you have to see it to believe it. But the basic part of the dress is just kind of not even a V-neck. It's very separate down her torso.
It's parallel panels coming from the shoulder down to the waistline.
And then she has a mini skirt dress, but then she has these crazy, great, big, structured panels coming straight out from the model's waist. And
it's like you brought your desk from the office with you.
Yes, it's very like sticking out straight, and it could have yes, perpendicular, and it's got the panels going all the way down to the floor like a gown. So it's very dramatic and very exciting, and it is brown faux crocodile. So it could have been really really crazy, but it turned out to be a good kind of crazy. I gave it a 10.
Wow.
I gave it a 9.5. But but the thing is, I have to say, is that I love that she kind of went with something innovative to an extent, but she's, as a designer, she needs to do a little bit of research on fabrics just so she gets to know fabrics a bit more. And I think this could have been made really much more avant-garde in something that wasn't so literally stiff, because
rigid.
It looks like, I mean, literally it looks like plastic alligator, those tablecloths that you buy, the plastic alligator tablecloth.
Curtains, tablecloths,
exactly.
Bed Bath and Beyond.
Houseware is nice here.
And then she just glued some, Butterfingers on the front of the dress. I'm sorry.
Oh, but yeah, the 3D printing was just like, I don't know what to do.
It was like mini Halloween chocolate candies, the ones that
fun size,
Kit
like
Kats.
fun size
she
like
can,
me.
and, you know, she could fill those gaucho sides in with like little chocolate bars and serve them at Halloween.
Oh my God! It's like she's trying to get the bull's attention. Like,
Exactly.
"No, come over here on the side of my dress. Come on this side." Okay, what did you think, Louis?
For me, I called it a caramel Brooklyn suspension panier.
Oh, really?
Oh.
Because it does remind me of those panier dresses, you know, from Follies, the musical. Listen,
yeah,
you could
that's
take the
true.
boy away from Broadway, but you can't take the Broadway out of the boy.
That's right. That's right.
I gave it a 9. I thought she did a great job. I would not have loved this piece if it weren't for the avant-garde challenge. But because it's an avant-garde challenge, I absolutely fell in love with it. I think she's the one that really rose up to the occasion of this challenge the most out of everyone. I do, from the very sketch, I fell in love with this suspension crisscross wire neckline that was echoed in the cutouts on the sides of the ribcage. I fell in love with it even from the sketch, and I thought the execution, although she had trouble with it, dealing with it, I think she did a stellar job with this neckline. It's my favorite
And
part of
she
the
looks
entire
like a
piece.
bridge. You could just drive your semi-truck right onto... she's in perfect position.
Oh, for heaven's sakes. Okay.
It is very
Sorry.
open between the legs.
I'm sorry.
But it is a strong look, and I'm happy to
It
see
is,
that
it's-
she
yeah.
was the winner.
Yeah.
Brava!
Well
Winner
deserved.
this week, and Merlene is out.
Dun, dun, dun.
So moving on. Speaking of designers from Project Runway, who were out too soon.
Too soon.
We have Malan Breton,
Hi,
who's been
everyone.
commenting all evening, and we're going to show you some pictures of his work. This is from his newest collection, and he always has done menswear and women's wear.
Mm-hmm.
So tell everyone, they may not know about your work. Tell everyone
Okay.
a little bit about what you do and your history as a designer.
My history as a designer, well, I never went to fashion school. I mentored under two very strong design people. One being Arnold Scarzy, and that's where I got my training in women's wear. And then I also worked with Timberland Asser, and that's where I learned menswear. And so, so my cut has a very English for men, has a very English silhouette to it. But also because I was a dancer, I tried to create clothes that can move with the body, so that when you lift your arms and things like that, the sleeve doesn't go all the way up to your elbow, and I it's very important to me. And I also, being from Taiwan, I use a lot of Asian fabrics and things in my construction. So you see a lot of East meets West with like very tailored elements and details and things.
Yes, and I do love that you've always incorporated more of a theatrical element to your show.
Yeah.
You have included dancers, singers, a symphony orchestra. So
I know you've been in so many of those shows.
Yes.
We did one show that had a 65-piece live orchestra that played the American in Paris, Gershwin's American in Paris suite, and we had New York City ballet dancers dancing in the show, and Amanda was in the show there, and
I was walking
and-
a dog.
Yeah, she was walking a standard poodle actually, which was amazing,
Yeah.
in a beautiful yellow gown.
That
was
gown
so fun.
is one of my very favorites that
Oh,
you've done.
thank you.
For more, you can see on Facebook and Instagram. We don't have all the pictures tonight, but will you please put some more pictures up?
Who's that?
Who is
Who's
that?
that pretty lady?
Oh,
That is
gorgeous.
from last night.
Mhm.
And Louis was the choreographer, director of the show, and it was such a beautiful show to be a part of.
I'm so glad you enjoyed it, and you were stellar on the runway, as you can all see.
Thank you. I like the drama of the headpiece too.
Yeah.
I do love that as well. So nice.
And this is such a fun suit because Malan has always done these beautiful menswear pieces, these suit jackets and pants, and now he's getting into suits for women. And so for me, it was really fun to wear one of the suits because I've always
you.
appreciated your gowns and had so much fun wearing those too. But this was just like a wow for me.
Thank you so much. And you it always takes a great model to sell a piece, and it's always wonderful to work with you.
Thank you. Oh, making my day. Well, I always love to work with Malan because look at his beautiful use of draping and fabric and color and a sensibility. Your collections are always very cohesive and they always have a different inspiration. Which collection for you do you feel was your most connected to the inspiration?
I think the most connected was my Journey to Taiwan collection that we did for spring 2015. And that show had 88 looks in it of men's and women's wear. And it was very, literally, I went to all the places that I went to when I grew up and found inspiration there and put these pieces together. So that was a very important collection for me.
And what were the instruments called that the women were playing on
guzhang,
the runway?
The guzhang.
La guzhang.
It's
Guzhang
guzhang harps, and they're literally it's a very traditional Chinese harp actually, and they played traditional Taiwanese music for the show.
It was so beautiful.
Thank you.
And also, Malan has a documentary short about his work and about being from Taiwan. And where can people find it to watch it?
Well, right now, because the documentary is under consideration for nomination for the Academy Award, we are in the process of holding off a mass release until after the nominations go out. But once the nominations go out, then we'll do a release on the film itself, so everyone can see it.
Okay, well, we'll be staying tuned.
Fingers crossed.
Oh, yes. And this is one of your bridal pieces. This is so stunning coming down the runway.
Oh, thank you.
I just love it. I love the shape and the lace. Is the lace a special lace from?
It's a very special lace, especially done in Taiwan, actually. And then we used pearls, mother of pearl, and quite a few different elements in this dress as well to make every part of this dress is hand sewn. It's complete.
So it's a couture.
Yeah, it's a couture piece.
Ooh.
I mean, even though I can't say couture in America, but it is literally a couture piece.
Well, I always think of it's handmade.
Yeah, I understand.
Well, Louis, tell everybody a little bit about your background and how you came to be part of the Malan world.
Well, I don't know if many people know it, but Malan comes from the world of dance and theater, and it's in this arena that we met in New York almost 20 years ago.
Ooh.
So we've been friends for a long time.
Wow.
Malan also has an amazing singing voice. I don't know if you know that.
Thank you.
We met at a place called 88's Piano Bar in the West Village.
Yes.
and
Ooh, I know that.
Do you?
Yeah.
It's
I
it
went
was a
to Don't
beautiful
Tell
place.
Mama with Malan one night.
We had so much fun. I actually found the video of you singing, and I want to send it over to you.
Just don't put it online, for heaven's sakes. And now everyone's going to want to see
It
it.
was so sweet though, because that was before you got married, and you're like singing to Brian. It's so lovely. It's so lovely.
yes.
I'm sorry, getting
I've
personal.
got to
okay.
see it. I've
Apologize.
got to see it.
It's
Okay.
so
She's
sweet.
getting
Okay.
verklempt.
I am.
I also asked Malan to be on the skeleton crew for an off-Broadway show called Reefer Madness, which is being choreographed by Paula Abdul. And
Paula Abdul.
we
I
had
love
a
her so
really
much.
we had a really great time working on that project.
Yeah.
But suffice to say, as you know, having been in so many of Malan's runway shows, he brings a true theatrical element, always an element of live performance to his runway shows. And he very generously reached back into his annals of friendship and creativity and pulled me onto the runway with him to direct his shows. Because they are so theatrical, he thought, why don't I bring someone in who has experience with the world of theater and meld these two together.
And Louis' vision is meticulous. I mean, literally, I can tell him my concepts and things, and he will bring it all together so perfectly. Because the thing is, when you come to my shows, a lot of people do fashion shows where there's live music and live dancers, and it's like a halt in the middle of a fashion show. And what I try to do is incorporate all the elements together, so you get like a sensory element. So it's not just, oh my God, there was the most random singer singing some random song in the middle of his fashion show, but so it actually works together. So there's actually clothing movement and things like that going on at the same time. And in order to do that, I mean, I brought Louis on to just really fine-tune everything and to direct and bring everything together.
Malan has a real talent for bringing a concept to a runway show that and he demands for it to be a seamless, visceral experience. And to be perfectly frank, Malan's concepts are what you see on the runway. Because he's not 7 people, he's only about 6 people. He needed that 7th person just to put it all together. It's all Malan all the time. I'm just the conduit, the vessel who makes it happen on the stage. It's all his ideas, and I kind of am a mind reader with Malan. We've known each other for such a long time that I can execute what it is that he wants.
But not only do you help out Malan, and not just help out, but choreograph these amazing shows, you've been part of some amazing Broadway productions. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Sure. Yeah, I'm really lucky that I get to do what I love for a living, not only working with Malan, but also for 22 years I've been doing musical theater, everywhere from Broadway to first national tours to international tours, off-Broadway. If there's a show being done in someone's living room, sign me up. I just want to do it. So it doesn't matter what scale it is. I just love to perform, and I love to direct and choreograph. So, but to answer your question, Peter Pan with Kathy Rigby.
Wow.
And also, I worked on the latest revival of A Chorus Line on Broadway as an associate dance captain. They had to replace 12 people. It's a very physically demanding show. So once the contracts were up, they had to replace 12 people, and I was brought in to teach these people the show.
Wow. And then you got to be part of the cast as well?
Not in that particular
in that
instance.
Oh, okay.
But many times you are the dance captain and you're also in this show.
Yes, I've seen that happen a lot. I saw that with the Rockettes too.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
That's a great gig.
And Louis danced for Oprah when she had her show, actually.
Yes.
What?
Yeah.
Oh my God. Oprah, she's everywhere. She's everywhere. We love you, Oprah.
We love you, Oprah.
Oh my God. Well, on that note, thank you both for joining me. We missed you, Vivian and Michelle, tonight, but we'll see you back next week. And again, where can everybody find you online?
You can go to malanbreton.com or any of my social media that's just at Malan Breton.
Same for me, louisvillabon.com. Instagram is at Louis Villabon, and Twitter is at Villabon Louis.
Villabon Louis. I love it. It sounds so good. You can find me, Amanda Fields Bennett, at The Runway Queen. And I'm just so happy you both could be here. Thank you again for coming. And thank you out there for listening and watching us. And we'll be back next week.
Thank you.
Thank you.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.